It's the final day of Rank Week here at PHLY, and it's been a blast across all four sports. We hope you had a great time following along with us. And today, we come together like the Avengers to get it all done, to wrap up the week with the team here. It's going to be a great one here today as we talk about the Sixers, the Flyers, the Phillies, and the Eagles. And we do so starting to my far left. We go with the Flyers, of course, with Bill Metz. What's up, Bill?
What's going on today, Devon?
Oh, it's going to be a blast, man. Can't wait to talk about Eric Lindros, all the stuff that what ifs and how ticked off Flyers fans are going to get. Can't wait to do that. For the Eagles, we got Jamie Lynch. Jay.
The Eagles have never had a misstep in the history of their franchise, Devon. There can't possibly be any what ifs here.
They just won a Super Bowl. What's to complain about? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And for the Phillies, we have Tyler Zulli. Tyler, I still can't get over the Cliff Lee part of it where you started the week off. Still don't know how he ended up with the Mariners.
The Phillies in their franchise have lost 11,300 games and counting. I think there's probably a lot of room for what if over 142 years.
Yes, indeed. And I'll be representing the Sixers.
Nothing went wrong there.
Nothing at all.
I can't possibly think of
what
one
if the
thing.
last 6 years didn't happen?
What if the last 6 years have not happened?
What if they were just still called the Warriors? Would everything be okay?
We'll get into it all today right here on the What If, wrapping it up here on the Friday. Presented by Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY. They can fix a lot of things. I don't know if they can fix these egos with the what ifs and the frustration. Julia is producing the show. It's great to be with Jules today. All of you, thank you. And let's start off. Let's get right into it at number 10. And as I just said it with Tyler, Cliff Lee, the Mariners trade. I mean, even though we're going to go to Tyler to start off, Bill, I'm looking at you and I'm just like, even then, I'm like, what? How? Why?
I remember where I was, and we get the news, me and a bunch of friends, and it's, oh, we got Doc, all right. And we needed Cliff Lee to do it. Well, all right, I get it. And then you find out this was not a 3-team trade. These were completely separate moves, having nothing to do with each other, and
what?
It just starts to so they just didn't want to pay two guys. That's really what it comes down to. But man, it was such a disappointment because you're coming off of that World Series appearance where, yeah, man, it was Cliff Lee and no one else. It was Cliff Lee and Chase Utley against the Yankees.
Yes.
And that's all you remember. And now he's gone. It's, well, how much of an upgrade is this? Fast forward, well, we did get to see a perfect game and a no-hitter out of it. But did it really change the fortunes of at least the 2010 season?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when Cliff Lee, chose us in the first place, he won over the hearts of all of us. And then to get, I think Ruben called him the white whale. Doc was his white whale.
Yeah.
To get that, it was such a high. And then to realize you were shipping another out. And, of course, I talked myself into Philippe Almont and some others. But,
sure you did.
This was before John Middleton, and Tyler can take it from here, before John Middleton kind of entered that new stratosphere of ownership where it was just boom, 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 throwing down money. So I think it was just financially driven. And that sucks in hindsight, knowing what he became, somebody who didn't care about those
Especially because we don't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
You figure it out. Make sure the right team is out there. So, Tyler, what if the Phillies didn't trade Cliff Lee after signing Roy Halladay?
Yeah, I mean,
that's number 10.
Anytime you have the chance to restock your farm system with Philippe Almont, Tyson Gillies, and JC Ramirez, you got to do it, right? You just have to take the advantage. But, yeah, you guys brought it up. Two separate moves, and they used the quote, restock the farm system. I think if you checked back in with Ruben Amaro today, he would tell you that he got a little bit pressed by ownership because of money and things like that to make a subsequent move. Roy Halladay won 21 games that year. He won a Cy Young. He threw a perfect game. He threw a no-hitter in the postseason. Lee was 12-9 with a 3.18 ERA, split time between the Mariners and the Rangers. And funny enough, Lee ended up going to the World Series with Texas that year in 2010. So I think the big fallout of this whole thing in the regular season, that is that the Phillies probably don't acquire Roy Oswalt because they don't need him. They have Roy Halladay, they have Cliff Lee, they have Cole Hamels, who was much better in 10 than he was in 9. And I think they feel comfortable with either Blanton or Kendrick.
Sure.
Moyer wasn't very good in 9, but was better in 10. You probably feel better with 2 of those guys and that 3. So I think the big thing is they don't go get Roy Oswalt. But I do think if you have Cliff Lee the entire year, this team won 97 games in the regular season. Like, there's a very realistic chance they win 100 in the regular season and do it a year prior. So that's probably the regular season fallout to this, is that they don't go get Roy Oswalt. But I think the bigger question is, do they make a further run in the postseason than they did? And that's, I think, the big question of this guy. Do they beat the Giants?
That 12-9 record for the Mariners means absolutely nothing to me, because if he's in Philadelphia, I saw what I saw.
He wins more games
I
than 12.
know what I saw in
sure.
Philadelphia. Much better team, much better situation. And then when you pair him with Roy Halladay, yes, it may have been financially driven and ownership driven, but when you acquire Roy Halladay, and if the egos are good enough where 1 and 2 understand that it's 1A and 1B at that spot, okay, great. I don't worry about Roy Oswalt at that point. As great as he is and as great as he was in the Phillies uniform, I'm not even worried about that. That's just cherry on top. Now I'm feeling great because, hey, I just added some whipped cream on on all of this.
You got a sundae
any
already.
Dessert that I'm adding whipped cream on every dessert there that's possible, and I'm happy because maybe it's not Roy Oswalt, but maybe it's someone else that we're not thinking about right now, or even at that time that they
Bullpen
do
arm would've
acquire.
helped.
That's a little bit lower there in the rotation, but is better than Blanton or Moyer at that spot. And that's where it is for me. And to your point, and then it's the Rangers and he gets to the World Series. That's where I'm going, because if it's with the Phillies, that 12-9 record is probably something totally different, where you're looking at
15,
15 and 4,
wins, yeah.
Something like that. And it's totally different.
It's kind of crazy. They only won 5 more games with the 4 aces than they did the year prior.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. 2, I think maybe because, we have to live in the world where, well, they did this because it was financially driven. So if they keep both pitchers, maybe they don't add a bat. But it's a year later that they're like, yeah, Hunter Pence, add him on. Like, do they then
Re-sign Cliff Lee, by the way, too.
like bring in Lee already
Right.
for a premium price? Oh, he took less to come here. Sure. Yeah, maybe. But like maybe at that 10 deadline, it's instead of Roy Oswalt, the bat that helps us get a hit with runners in scoring position against the Giants.
So here's the big fallout of that Giants series. The Phillies were 8 for 45 with runners in scoring position. They hit 216 as a team. They struck out 56 times in 6 games. So my question is, guys, with Cliff Lee, do the Phillies beat the Giants? Because I still think the answer is unfortunately no.
I think what Bill said is the crux of it. Like, maybe if you have those more trade chips, you go out and get a different type of bat.
Sure.
100%.
And that's where this pivots to maybe beating the Giants and Cody Bleepin Ross.
Yeah, because
And-
all those names,
Yeah.
maybe they're somewhere else
Yeah.
for another bat.
We'd have to like really dive into the 2010 trade deadline
Right,
and see what
yeah.
kind of bats were out there to be had. But I would have to think they'd have more ammo to go make a trade and be more willing to make that trade.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's get to number 9 here as we shift to Bill and discuss what if Lindros goes to the Flyers.
So, I don't think I'm a Flyers fan in the 90s. I don't think I'm a
that's
Legion
really-
of Doom fan.
So our episode of the top 10 aired last night, and that was the thing to me. More than anything, it's personal. Like, am I in the position I'm in? Because my neighborhood, like growing up, it was the Sandlot, but for street hockey. Like everyone, like couple of houses, that was your team, and like we were Flyers fans. That's what it was. And immediately leading up to acquiring Lindros, no one cared. Like that was the worst time in franchise history. They're 5 years in a row out of the playoffs. And then suddenly they have the next one. What if he goes to the Rangers? Because this came down to arbitration. He's drafted first overall in 91. He says, I'm not playing in Quebec. The Rangers and the Flyers strike a deal with Quebec at the 92 draft, and it's comes down to an independent arbiter to decide who he actually goes to. The Flyers win, get Eric Lindros. What happens? Now, the Flyers have a ton of assets if they don't get Lindros. They have like $15 million in cash. They have Peter Forsberg, Ron Hextall, whole bunch of draft picks. But they don't have the guy who drove the popularity of the team through the 90s. What happens then? To me, it's more about the Rangers. The Rangers win the Cup in 94 around Mark Messier and Brian Leetch and a whole bunch of guys who wouldn't have been involved in this trade anyway. Now they have Lindros too. They're a dynasty with Lindros and Messier together, and like Mike Richter in net.
Flower Town's finest, Mike Richter.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder though, like, are the Flyers as big as they were. Like even if Peter Forsberg becomes Peter Forsberg here, like the Legion of Doom isn't the Legion of Doom. It's more about the popularity of the team than anything they accomplished.
I distinctly remember I had a legion of, remember the old school fairs and like the plaques? They still have plaques, but like they were real cheesy plaques back then. I had a Legion of Doom plaque on my
everyone had
wall because I grew up around Flyers fans and their Lindros excitement was palpable, and I became a Legion of Doom fan. They were like my real gateway into Flyers hockey. So to Bill's point about just like on a personal level, I don't know if I ever dive into the Flyers as a kid if Eric Lindros isn't here. 88 was the Flyers for a decade.
Yeah, cool number.
Like he was huge. He was skilled.
He was just a bulldozer.
Yeah, like he was just fun to watch. For me personally, he put hockey on the map for me. So I don't know where I go with hockey if it's not for Eric Lindros.
And I think for me, the big fallout is like, what is Forsberg actually as a Flyer? Because
that was what I was going to ask.
He's no Sakic and no Waugh.
Right. So you have a premier player in Sakic, the premier goaltender maybe of the late 90s, and he and Brodeur, the two goalies of the 90s and the early 2000s, an elite defender in Adam Foote. Like, that was a complete team, and they got really, really good with the addition of Forsberg. Is Peter Forsberg the same guy in Philly that he was in Colorado?
See, that's I think Peter Forsberg played 20 more regular season games than Eric Lindros.
Wow.
Like, both of them dealt with a ton of injuries. It was just Colorado can deal with it, man. They have Joe Sakic, who's probably better, and one of the 2 or 3 best goalies in the league. Now, I do try to get down the rabbit hole. Well, maybe the Flyers then have the assets to get Patrick Waugh when he leaves Montreal. Maybe instead of going to the Rangers, Wayne Gretzky is a Flyer, because I don't think Ed Snyder sits there without a superstar for very long.
Absolutely.
But is it a guy in his prime like Lindros, or more, as we saw years later, we're going to go with an aging Tony Amonte, an aging Jeremy Roenick? Is it more in that vein? And then ultimately,
like 2 of the greatest hockey players ever.
Oh yeah.
But that doesn't hurt to think.
Bill, what's Lindros' relationship today with the Flyer fans?
Much better.
Yeah.
When he came back for the 2012 like outdoor alumni game, I think people really, like, that was kind of the, hey, man, it's all good. Like, thank you for making hockey cool. It's not your fault. Like, you were too big, really.
Yeah.
If he comes around a few years later when, like, the sticks are super light and you can feel the puck without looking down, even if you're 6'6" on skates, like, maybe he never gets hit in the head and he's here for 10 years and is the next one. I think it's much stronger now that time has passed and we see how hard it is to find a guy that great.
But during that glimpse of Flyer fans frustrated with Eric Lindros, what if he actually played for the Rangers? That's what it would have looked like.
They would have cleaned up.
They would have. They would
have cleaned up.
That is it for number 9 and the Flyers. What if Eric Lindros went to the Rangers? When we come back, we got a Sixers one. We'll talk about that one on the other side right here. What if? We're wrapping it up on the Friday, our top 10 of what if. The Rank Week right here on PHLY Network. All right, let me tell you about Rothman Orthopedics, my good people presenting the show today. My good people, I was telling everybody early in the week on my flight back on Monday morning, ran into a young lady on the plane. She was my seatmate. She was right next to me in the middle aisle, and she had a brace on her knee. And I said, what happened? She said, my meniscus and my ACL. And I said, sister, I'm right there with you. I showed her my knee, my scar, and said, Rothman, right here. They got it done in 2019. They fixed my knee. Look at this beautiful scar right here. That's courtesy of Rothman Orthopedics. So I told her about it, told her to make sure she checked them out. And if she does, tell them I sent you. But if you're like me and her, or maybe not even as serious as an ACL or an Achilles, like I also had in 23, you can go for something else, whether it's just simply you attacking the summer and running down Kelly Drive and you tweak an ankle or sprain a shoulder by running and chasing your kids through the sprinkler and you happen to slip. Whatever it might be, that's where Rothman comes in. From the aches and pains of all of those, Rothman's team of experts is here to help. Whether it's evidence-based care and commitment to restoring your mobility, they'll get you back out there stronger than ever. And right now, Rothman proudly serves dozens of communities across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Florida, with 30-plus convenient offices, urgent cares, and walk-in centers. Right now, three, that's right, located in Center City, Northeast Philadelphia, and the newest one at the Navy Yard. That was my last one, my last visit at the Navy Yard. I had a bad back too recently. I said, you know what? I got to call my people at Rothman Orthopedics. So if you like me and my new friend from the airplane, if pain is slowing you down this season, take the first step. Head to rothmanortho.com/PHLY and schedule your appointment today. Rothman Orthopedics, your summer, your mobility, their mission.
It's good to know the curse of the Sixers. It affects the media too.
Yes, it does. Yes, it extends.
I got to tell you about our
17 years, Bill.
I got to tell you about our friends at Empire today, because I've been telling the PHLY Flyers listeners for months, there is no other option when it comes to new flooring other than Empire today, for one simple reason. It's because Empire, they've got the flooring experts who are with you every step of the way. We know the big box store experience. You walk in, and if you can find someone to talk to, good luck. You quickly figure out you know far more about this project than they possibly could. That is never the case at Empire, because they live and breathe flooring, and they can do something no box store can do. Bring the showroom right to your home so you can pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space, in your space. See how it all looks with your furniture, in your house, up against your paint colors and all that. And they'll take the precise measurements for you and have all your questions answered, so there are never any surprises. And with Empire today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day, because nobody wants to wait around. You want your house looking great now. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. And PHLY listeners, listen up, because you can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHLY. You heard that right, $350 off with discount code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/PHLY for full details.
Welcome back to the show as we rank the top 10 of Rank Week, the what-ifs across all four sports here, presented by Rothman Orthopedics. And we've gone through 10 and 9, Phillies and Flyers. Jamie, what do we have for number 10?
Well, Devon, number 8, I got to toss
8,
in your direction. Not only is this a personal issue, but it was also a massive pivot point in the franchise history. And I think you remember this draft. The 2018 draft, the Sixers are picking number 10, a pick acquired, I believe, from the Lakers via Phoenix. And they select this...
Via Phoenix. Yeah. Ironic.
They select this lanky kid out of Villanova. He's a 3-and-D type. I think he's gone on to have a pretty good NBA career. Won some titles in the Wells Fargo Center. Mother works for the team, and the team selects him at number 10. And everybody's ecstatic. And that lasted, 27 minutes? Something like that?
Yeah.
And they trade away the pick to take a tweener in Zaire Smith, who eventually...
He's doing well, I heard.
Yeah, eventually gets poisoned by the team and doesn't do well, unfortunately for him. But what if, number 8, Devon, what if they don't trade Mikal Bridges for Zaire Smith and assets?
You know how we say, I love that guy.
Yeah.
You know, as fans and all. I really do love this guy. Yeah, so this was a tough one. So I know we talk about that. I've told this story many times. So, Kale, obviously I'm not at the draft, but I'm doing the draft from the Sixers facility in Camden, doing the show on radio that night. And we're sitting there, and it just laid out perfectly of how this, all the lead up to it was, what if they actually do select him at pick number 10? The Sixers are a playoff team. This is a bonus for them to get a young player to come in that can still be a core player for them currently and in the future. You can see it all planning out.
For Villanova kids for how
forever.
long? Forever.
Yeah, because
go get one of Jay's kids. They
Josh
play the
Hart
game
the
right
year
way.
before,
Yeah.
Ryan Arcidiacono also going to the NBA. But this year it was not only Mikal, it was Kale, Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo. And I want to say, no, Eric went back to school. So Eric Pascal was a year later. Omari Spellman also in this one. So this was right off the championship in 18. So, of course, we're on cloud 9. The whole city is feeling good about Kale and all. So pre-draft, I remember one day specifically. We've all had these conversations as a family, and we're talking. Pre-draft, I remember specifically, me and his 2 younger brothers, we were going to the gym. This is pre-ACL, pre-Achilles for me. We're going to the gym. We go on Sunday morning, get a workout, and then we go play. And we just start talking about the draft and where he can end up, and we get back to the Sixers. And we were so into this, so knee-deep into this. What's his jersey number going to be? Because Ben Simmons was wearing 25, so he couldn't wear 25. So I'm like, 5 looks good on him. I don't think Amir Johnson's coming back. What about number 1? Well, Mike Scott's on the contract, so all this stuff. So we're trying to figure out. That's how deep, folks, we were into this. We were like, all right, if there's one player, sometimes you worry about players playing at home. He was not going to be fazed by playing at home. And the expectations of a playoff team, young player stepping into a championship contending role, can he fit his role? Can players like this accept a role as a star from wherever school they're coming from? They want the rock. We just talked about this with Ace Bailey, right? Well, Kale is a ultimate team guy. And we were prepared for him to go to the team. And as you mentioned, his mom is still with the team at that time. I've talked about it enough on radio at that point, and you didn't need me to talk about him anymore because he already did what he did to make his own name. And we were talking about a lottery pick. And forget about all of that. The player fit with what Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and everyone else on that roster, what it would have looked like. It was fun. That night was great for the 27 minutes. I'm texting them like, yo, I'll see you tomorrow at the press conference. I'm not even working now. I'm just going to the press conference as I just want to see this. And I remember his workout. His workout was great. So if anybody wants to tease and see what Mikal looks like in his Sixers gear, Jules, you can show the people what it looked like in like his practice stuff. And he had his look at that on the screen there. He had his workout. We're just busting it up after the workout.
Is that photoshopped?
No. And that was fun, man. And so yeah, it was a big deal for the family. It was great. Everybody was excited. Everybody had talked themselves into, because we even talked about it specifically. Everybody want him to go somewhere else? Does he want to go somewhere else? He was bought in.
Yeah. He
was ready to stay here at home and do it. And everybody, even because mom and dad handled the tickets at Villanova, just so he didn't have to worry about it. Sure. And I imagine that a lot of that through the team would have been the same here had he stuck it out with the organization. And we were ready, man. It would have been fun to experience that.
And there's a lot of ripple effects of this move. Like, does Tobias Harris end up a Sixer at all?
They don't have the first round pick, so maybe not.
If you don't take Mikal, do you pass on a future MVP and SGA right after him? Michael Porter Jr. was the guy that I was clamoring for. That
was
the
back was big
those
problem,
two
right?
were the ones of if Kale doesn't get taken here, what about those two? Because Michael Porter's back.
Yep.
That was a red flag because he's probably going top 5.
Yeah.
Shai Gilgeous, do you need another point guard next to Ben Simmons, and can Ben Simmons handle this? We saw it with Jimmy Butler that year where it became an issue with somebody else taking the ball out of his hands and all of that. So
many
Bill,
ripple effects of this
it was a time, man.
I'm just looking at Bridges' career. Doesn't look like he's missed any games.
I don't think he's missed a game.
I don't think he's missed any games. And
I look after
he never could have been a Sixer.
After this season, he's going to have made $108 million. Thank God he got traded. Especially you having a personal relationship with him. You'd like all his extremities intact.
I do. Yeah.
He seems like he's doing well.
He's doing all right.
He's not like diabetic and his foot's going to fall off. Like, I think good for him. Yeah. A local kid who's made something of himself and hasn't been afflicted with the curse of the Sixers. Tremendous for him. Yeah. Lucky man.
Yeah.
Devon, you and I did almost 4 years of radio together on a pretty much nightly basis. And other than like, hey, what's up, pleasantries, the number one thing that I heard and you heard said on the airwaves when we were together was, should have never traded your cousin.
Yeah.
Every night, unprompted. Well, we weren't talking about it.
Yeah.
Unprompted conversation.
That was
pieces.
the one thing for me, everybody, like in the chat and all. It was early on, yes, I brought him up. When he had committed to Villanova, I was a producer, but at that time, remember, I was doing Joe Stazak. I was producing for Joe Stazak.
Yeah.
Shout out Joe Stazak. And he let me come on the air and say, hey, my cousin just committed to Villanova. It was great. He was known locally and all, but again, it's radio. Maybe everybody doesn't know who he is. So it felt great to be able to say that. Like I said to you guys about maybe 5 minutes ago, at that point when in 2018, when he became Mikal Bridges, NBA prospect, I didn't have to say anything else anymore.
Game spoke for itself.
It spoke for itself. He did his job. So to your point, people would then say, hey, we should have never traded your cousin. what do you want me to say anymore?
Yeah.
I don't have anything else
Agreed.
to say except for you're right. And it was great. Bill, you're right. He has the longest running streak in the NBA. He's the Iron Man in the NBA
of the NBA.
of games played consecutively. And even at the end of the year when they have playoff locked-in seeded stuff, all he does is start the game. They tip off. A foul's committed. He comes out to keep the streak going. That's where it is right now for him.
Hit the under
and game in that final game.
Man, like what if?
Yeah,
Put him, Ben and Joel.
Yeah,
and
so
then you go pushing for a Jimmy or something.
the only
down
thing
the
about
line.
that is with the Jimmy piece. I'm glad you brought it because I did want to say this. With the Jimmy Butler trade, 7 games into the season, there was a possibility that Minnesota would have said, "No, we want him." So to all of this, there's a very real possibility that the Timberwolves say, all right, we're going to give you Jimmy Butler, but we want Mikal Bridges back in this deal along with Robert Covington, Jarrett Bayless. He's the headliner at that point,
So much
along
could have
with the pick. So much could have changed with a what if with that.
Well, and I think too, even if it's not the Jimmy Butler trade, if you're unwilling to move Mikal Bridges at that deal, you take a look at the off season the next year and some of the free agents. The Sixers then have cap space to make the move because they're not putting $35 million into Tobias or $35 million into Jimmy Butler. So
A lot of tail on this one.
Is it a Kawhi Leonard? Probably not. Is it a Kevin Durant? Probably not. But like you look at the list, are they able to sway Klay Thompson? Are they able to sway Chris Middleton? Like they could end up with a legit bona fide NBA star with that $35 million if it's not Tobias Harris or Jimmy Butler in that instance.
I love that guy.
A lot of what ifs there.
Yeah, a lot of what ifs.
This thing branches in a lot of directions.
Yeah, that one goes in a lot
A
of
lot of
directions.
different ways. And
Past MVPs, you almost kill a guy with a peanut allergy, free agents and trades that could have been, like so many ripple effects of that one decision. And poor Brett Brown, like I always felt bad for Brett Brown a little bit too, getting thrust into that situation. Like he should have never been GM that summer. And that was, thank you, Brian Colangelo. See you now.
He also should have been like spokesman for the doctors. And like, it's
poor
like
Brett
you
Brown.
got it. We're paying you.
Yeah,
It's not like we're asking you to win.
Yeah.
his problem, though, is too, he had to watch what he said. Because
Yeah.
when he goes out and says 1A and 1B, the guy is not in the league anymore, the 1B, or 1A, excuse me, however you want to put it.
Trying to build a bomber.
Yeah.
Or what did he say? Is that what he said?
Yeah, and he compared him to Kawhi Leonard and all that stuff. That didn't work out. All right, let's move
Kawhi
on.
when they're load managing him.
Yeah,
Kawhi when he doesn't play.
Yeah. So, all right, enough about me. Let's move on to number 7, Jamie. What if they select, the Philadelphia Eagles do, Justin Jefferson over Jalen Reagor? We all have thoughts on this.
Now, this is another, I think, massive pivot point for the Eagles. Because if they take Justin Jefferson over Jalen Reagor, there are some massive effects here. One, Howie isn't mocked and ridiculed by Vikings GM Chris Spielman online for the whole world to see. 2, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith very well might not be here, which are massive pieces of this Super Bowl team. Number 2, Carson Wentz is playing pretty much his last season in Philadelphia. How much does that change playing with a Justin Jefferson in a wide receiver depleted room over Jalen Reagor change his trajectory here? And then the third ripple effect that I think is a massive one too is how he kind of changed his draft style after this, whether he started listening to scouts more, just started taking best player available and stopped kind of reaching for needs. I think there's a lot of ripple effects by passing over Justin Jefferson, who Randy Moss just said, I think in these past 2 or 3 days, that Justin Jefferson is on the trajectory of being the best receiver ever. So when you think about adding that talent to a Carson Wentz on his way out, to not having AJ and Devontae here because you were so successful with the pick, do the Eagles win the Super Bowl last year? What are the ripple effects of it? How does Howie change or not change his draft styles? There's so much there with this pick.
This feels like the mistake worth making.
Almost, yeah.
Like so many things changed because of this, where this is when they went, you know what? We're not going to try to be the smartest people. We don't need to win the draft because we had this genius idea that no one else saw. We're going to take the players from Bama and Georgia because these are the guys who've been on the pro track since they were in 7th grade.
An LSU wide receiver and one of the greatest wide receivers in college rooms ever, or a TCU tweener who didn't have a catch rate that was really up to par.
I feel like what happens here is our receiver room is Justin Jefferson, Quez Watkins, and Travis Fulgham. And Jefferson makes up for it just enough that but we got this one right, so we're just going to keep going here. Like, this doesn't stop Carson Wentz's body from betraying him. This doesn't stop Doug Peterson from just losing his mind.
I wonder how much...
Or tethering himself to Press Taylor for his entire career.
Yeah, like, I just think this was that relationship that was toxic, but once you're out of it, you go, I learned a lot. I think I have learned what is good and not good for me. This was the mistake worth making. Yeah, it would be dope to have Justin Jefferson, but I'll take AJ and Devontae over just him.
It's almost a weird positive now with hindsight being 2020, but in the moment, like fire and brimstone in every
it was ridiculous.
Eyes and ears and
it
mouth.
was unbelievably at that point stupid. Yeah, as sitting there watching,
just plain stupid.
It was just dumb.
Yeah,
right. It was a stupid pick. And to your point, everything worked out where they got to 2 Super Bowls and they won one and all. But in the moment, we were all sitting there saying, "Oh, he fell to them." And when you see the wide receivers that went off the board before him, you're like, "Oh, okay, they're in a pretty good spot. They're not going to mess this one up." And then you take Jalen Reagor at that spot over Justin Jefferson because he's more of a slot guy. And he can't play on the outside.
Justin Jefferson had just put up like 1,300 yards with LSU with like 19 touchdowns that season.
And who else was that?
Slot the year prior, by the way.
He's just that was he's just the slot receiver.
It was dumb. It was dumb.
By the way, do you just off the top of your head, do you guys know who led the Eagles in receptions that year?
Is it Fulgham?
No, he was 3rd. He only had 38 though.
He led the receivers.
And Dallas Goedert was 2nd. It was Greg Ward.
Greg Ward.
Greg Ward was the lead in terms of receptions.
How many did Jalen Reagor
have? 31.
Oh. And he played how many games?
And he played 11.
11 out of 16 at that time, or 17? All right, whatever 16, it was. 16. All right, 11 out of 16. 31 receptions.
This receiving core was trash,
Justin
guys.
Jefferson was the rookie of the year.
He was 1,400 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns.
Pro Bowler.
Yeah. Now, the other part of this is, does Justin Jefferson become Justin Jefferson if he's here? I think he does.
I think he does because he's that
Carson
talented.
Wentz could sling it.
Yeah, he's that talented. And Bill, you're probably right where it's Fulgham and all these other guys next to him. But at some point, they were going to hit on another one.
Probably.
At some point. Even if it was free agency and they brought in the number 2 behind him and it worked out because it was Fulgham and then Greg Ward and all those players behind him, somewhere along the line they would have gotten it done.
It's darkest before the light.
Yeah, somewhere there. But and it wasn't going to be A.J. Brown. I'm sure of that. And most likely not Devontae Smith. But there was some other talented wide receiver that was going to be there for the Eagles, but
Denzel Mims,
or you go trade for Calvin Ridley or something, just not AJ Brown.
But it did work out pretty damn good.
It worked out.
That's
well.
It's a ridiculous thing.
Before that,
until it all comes together, it's like
it's hell.
How we learn nothing. Like we are back to 2017. Who cares? Howie has learned nothing.
Yeah,
he's still the guy who belongs to the broom closet. He got lucky one off season with all the mercenaries. Yeah, but now we see it all come together, and because it's not just that pick in that draft.
Sure,
they take Hurts in the 2nd round. That's what we needed.
Yeah, I went off on that one.
And
what are you doing?
So you want Reagor Hurts? This is not at all what this team needed.
Oh man, crazy stuff.
Big what if?
Yeah, big what if for the Philadelphia
Eagles.
Eagles.
Not all what ifs are bad. This worked out in a great way.
Yeah,
and this move is kind of like a crux of it.
And now Howie Roseman is a Hall of Famer, probably.
Yeah, now he's the greatest GM in sports.
That's right.
No,
they're trying to change rules.
They're the best run organization in the city and in most of sports.
Crazy.
Now, the Eagles now basically say, "Oh yeah, we'll pay you in 3,084. It'll be your great grandchildren will get this money, and you're going to get paid now. But in reality, that's where it's going to get paid in cap space. The way that they've manipulated cap space and put together the roster that they have in 4-year span is unbelievable.
Think about about the Jalen Hurts narrative now from, the Vikings are laughing at Howie to, it's not even fair. Jalen Hurts has this super team. All he has to do is run the tush push. It's basically, I don't know how they do it. We need to kick them out of the league. It's like, this is the guy that chose Jalen Reagor.
How far we've come.
How far we've come. Howie Roseman is a Hall of Famer, and the Philadelphia Eagles are defending Super Bowl champion.
Well, Devon, the next one, I think you can make the case that this deserves to be number one on the list. Because we just saw Sam Presti and the Oklahoma City Thunder raise a trophy in the state of Oklahoma. And what if the man that kind of paved the road for Sam Presti in OKC, Mr. Sam Hinkie, was allowed to see out his plan? What if Sam Hinkie played the media game, was more friendly to people in the building, didn't hide behind closed doors and write manifestos? What if Sam Hinkie was able to execute his plan? How different would the Sixers organization be?
See, I'm the wrong one to ask because
you were vehemently anti-process.
I was anti the rebuild in the way that he went about it.
I drank the Sam Hinkie Kool-Aid, man.
And
I was all
many
in.
people did. When you say, and when I say I don't fault you, look, we all have our different reasons of how we like to build a team. And I was just at a place where I thought there were a couple of players on that team that were worth keeping. Yes, you traded Drew Halladay and you got Nerlens Noel and the other picks and all that stuff, the assets and all. I was one that said, you're the GM, figure it out. Fix it.
Yeah.
Fix this. And you came in here to do everything doesn't need to be torn down the way that it was. And ultimately, what if he was able to keep it? I still don't know. I don't know what it would have looked like. I have no idea who he would have selected, who he would have traded for, and how this would have played out when they would have eventually gotten to the playoffs, because there was also those reports out there that he wanted a 10-year contract, a 10-year contract to run this plan and execute it the way that he wanted it to. No, man, you don't just get that runway of that. You need to figure this out in a couple of years. And yes, the NBA butted in, and Colangelo comes in, and Burnergate happens, and Sam Presti now does this, and the NBA does not step in for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he now has 10 first-round picks over the next couple of years because of what he's able to do, and takes these young players from Holmgren to Williams, and of course SGA. I don't know that Sam Hinkie would have done the same thing. I don't know that, because the ones that he did select, Michael Carter-Williams, Dario Saric, Nerlens Noel, Jahlil Okafor, they were just guys.
Yeah.
They were just guys.
He
never drafted a franchise. Joel Embiid is different, of course. He did draft him. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry I excluded him. We know about Joel Embiid.
But
yes.
if it's not for an injury.
But if it's not for an injury,
they don't get him.
He's number one.
Yeah.
And then you're talking Andrew Wiggins at pick number 3. And I doubt that he's here the amount of time that Joel Embiid is here. So I don't know that Sam Hinkie would have been Sam Presti.
It comes down to the process. Yeah, it's a fine idea.
Sure.
We've seen it work. You do have to make the right picks eventually.
Yeah.
And he showed absolutely no ability to do that.
And what if Joel Embiid did not break his foot pre-draft?
Yes,
He's the number one pick. They don't even get a chance
pick.
at him. Well, and I think, too, the one thing, guys, like the one thing that Sam Presti and the Thunder had that the Sixers never had over that time frame, one player, Paul George. Because Paul George went for the most ridiculous trade haul I've ever seen, because you end up getting SGA in that trade, who becomes the superstar that he is.
Just an MVP
and then
and champion.
I'm looking at here's the trade, right? Clippers 22 first, Clippers 24 first, Clippers 26 first, Miami 21 first, Miami 23 lottery protected first, Clippers 23 first pick swap, Clippers 25 pick swap as well. That's one of the largest trade hauls I've ever seen. The Sixers didn't have the luxury of a Paul George to move for those type of trades. And then it gets back to your guys' point where you got to hit on those draft picks even if you get them. But I think getting SGA on top of hitting on the picks and SGA becoming the player that he has is kind of a launching point that maybe the Sixers don't ever actually get.
Yeah, and the thing I just keep thinking about, what if the Colangelo stink wasn't on this organization? You know?
And that was a big mistake. Clearly, it was a big mistake.
was league
if you're going to
force.
do it, it needs to be someone else.
Burnergate. Like, think about
Right.
how crazy that is. When they eventually do the slogan, the trust the process slogan, what if that's never in Philadelphia? But like when they do the trust the process 30 for 30 one day, what if the Colangelo era never happened?
You know, it's funny too, because Bill, I know you were about to say
That is
something
a
else.
wild story.
While we were in summer league, I saw a story about Jerry Colangelo, his dad, of course, Hall of Famer, says he still thinks Brian got a raw deal on the burner gate stuff.
What?
That's rich. That's rich.
No, that's the actually.
Bottini
Yeah, because
or-
wasn't it
Barbara
some of the
Bottini?
phone
Yes.
numbers that they were?
Yeah.
He's gonna blame the wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's because they were registered to
bags.
her, right?
It's
Yeah.
a normal collar. Find a new
Yeah.
slant.
I got
It's
I got a raw
normal.
deal not winning the lottery.
Oh my
like,
God.
Just everything that happened after is so
I
ridiculous.
mean, there's Markel
Unbelievable.
Fultz
But-
tied into it because Brian Colangelo
Yeah.
takes Markel Fultz, and our friend Bob Cooney was in the gym for his workout.
I was there.
Oh, you were there, and apparently it was a disaster. but
Me
they
and
had
Derek
committed.
we were all there.
Yeah, Danny Ainge doesn't fleece Brian Colangelo, and Markel Fultz doesn't happen. Like the ripple effects of this are just unbelievable.
Unbelievable stuff.
It's-
So, folks, I was never on board. You got Joel Embiid out of it, and I love Joel Embiid. Hall of Famer, fantastic player, all that stuff. He did hit on that. He needed something to work out his way. Sometimes you need luck. But at the other stuff, he never – you get all that to
Man.
find one guy. You found the one guy. The injury stuff, that's unfortunate. But you didn't find the others to go along with him. And even though you did have the Ben Simmons piece come into it, then that has its own story as well, along with Markel Fultz.
Ugh.
And it all goes into it. All right, our final break here as we pause here on the top 10 of our rank week of what ifs. Man, we've had some stuff already. Let's get to number 5. Goodness gracious, when we get to number 5 with this Flyers one, folks, we'll talk about it on the other side right here on our top 10 for rank week presented by Rothman Orthopedics.
all right, let me tell you about my hometown casino of choice. When we say hometown here, I genuinely mean hometown. I've grown up in Bensalem. I live in Bensalem. If you want to do the ride that it would take me to go from my home to Parks Casino, you might get it done by the time I'm done saying these words. That's how close I have lived almost my entire life to Parks Casino, right off the Street Road exit of I-95 and the Turnpike. It is my place to go for just about anything. If you're looking for a night out, whether it's a date night, a night out with your friends, want to get hang out with your coworkers on a Friday afternoon after work, the Parks Casino is the place to go because they offer one of the greatest viewing concert venues, comedy events, whatever it might be. The Excite Center is the place to be. It is a state-of-the-art entertainment venue that's located right inside Parks Casino. Now, it has a large field, but it's not a huge seating venue. And the benefit of that is you're going to get incredible production, incredible sight lines. You're going to get incredible sound, but you're not going to feel crowded. So you're going to feel like you have an intimate setting with the band or the artist or the comedian that you're going to see, but with all of the world-class production that you expect from a show. But before, if you're looking for a full night out, head on over to any of the great restaurants and bars that are located in Parks Casino, whether it be the Bamboo Noodle House, the Liberty Grill, the Liberty Bar and Grill, the Parks Casino Beer Garden. You have an opportunity to have an incredible evening with your loved ones, your friends, your coworkers, all at the same location. So visit parkscasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. The Excite Center, this is how you have fun, and Parks Casino, this is how you win. Must be 21 and over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And if you're looking for the dealership with the most inventory and super low lease payments in the Philadelphia area, well, Kia of CherryHill.com is the place for you to go. Choose from over 450 Kias, including Tellurides, Sportages, K5s, Carnivals, Seltos, Souls, and more. And I've got to tell you, Kia, I see them everywhere on the road. That's because they're the hottest car brand in the country for a reason. 7 of their models received 2025 Car and Drivers Editor's Best Choice Awards. That's amazing, considering there's more than 450 models tested and only 20 models receive this award. Combine that with the best warranty in the automotive business, 10 years, 100,000 mile powertrain, and 5 years, 60,000 miles bumper to bumper warranties. Stop in today and tell them PHLY sent you, and you'll receive a $100 restaurant.com gift card just for taking a test drive or completing a trade appraisal. I know why people buy Kias elsewhere. I know people buy Kias elsewhere. I just don't know why. Go to cherryhillkia.com. It's the place to go.
All right, welcome back. Rank Week, top 10, presented by Rothman Orthopedics, and we get to number 5. I think this guy's name has come up a lot over the last couple of weeks, and you heard Bill right there.
I think they're still paying him.
They're still. What if they never signed Ilya Brizgalov and kept Bobrovsky?
Yeah, the Ilya Brizgalov signing is one of those great missteps. And it's really one of the turning points to 15 years later. Here we are.
Well, you got it.
Siri's even
Is
knows.
it Brizgalov?
Siri is upset.
No, I won't, Siri. Does anyone else? Siri is a dude now for me for some reason, and it's very off-putting. He just starts talking. Anyway, so in the summer of 2011,
Siri knows hockey.
Yeah.
In the summer of 2011,
Siri knows
Paul
hockey.
Holmgren decided, you know what? We need to change this team up. They get swept in the second round by the Boston Bruins. Team probably quit on Peter Laviolette in the playoffs.
They weren't playing with Jam anymore?
It went really poorly. So they go out and sign the best goalie available in Ilya Brizgalov. And to make room, they trade Mike Richards and Jeff Carter to do it. Now, they're coming off of an excellent rookie season from Sergei Bobrovsky, who they just kind of found, and he comes to camp and wins the starting job and does an excellent job for them in the regular season, starts to wear down, gets pulled in the playoffs, and the goalie carousel in the playoffs embarrasses Ed Snyder to the point that he says, no more, we're just going to go spend money on a goalie, whoever it is. It happens to be Briz. And, 15 years later, Sergei Bobrovsky has won the Vezina Trophy twice and is now a back-to-back Stanley Cup champion, while Ilya Brizgalov is using the money they're still paying him to be a season ticket holder. It's one of the all-time disasters in this team's history. Briz gets bought out within 2 years of signing the contract. Meanwhile, they'd already traded Bob because he said, I'm not here to be a career backup. You just signed this guy to a 9-year contract.
I'm going
Trade
back to
me or
Russia.
I'm going back to Russia, and you get nothing. So they end up trading him to Columbus, and that begins his run of being one of the best goalies of a generation. It's just so frustrating. Now, I don't know if Bob is still here because the first few playoff runs of his career don't go well, and we probably run him out of town before he becomes this guy that he's become for Florida. But still, it would be nice to have a number one goalie throughout Claude Giroux's tenure, just to see how that would have gone.
Yeah, it's not like he went on and won the Vezina, his
just
first full
the
season.
very
in Columbus.
first year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to think about this one because he's probably going to end up being a top 15 goaltender of all time.
He's going to the Hall of Fame.
He's
he's got 2
absolutely-
cups and
he's
2
got
Goalie of the
two
Year
Vezinas.
awards.
Yeah,
Like,
the
he's
hard-
going to the Hall of Fame.
I mean, you talk about the hardest positions in sports, and it's quarterback, it's hockey goalie. You can maybe throw a catcher in the mix. I mean, goalie is a top 2 hardest position in sports, and they found the homegrown foreign Russian goaltender,
Lucked into him.
and they just gave it away
Yeah, I mean,
for a moron.
to be as to be as like corny as possible, like this was a humongous big mistake.
That's the,
humongous
we
big.
never
Yeah,
we never get the hilarious HBO
Right.
commentary,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was it all worth it for that?
Well, and you know what's funny too, Bill? Like I remember distinctly where I
Humongous
was
big.
when Ilya Brizgalov, early in the season, his first year, was it 2011? I think it was.
11-12 was the first season. Yeah.
Tossed a shutout against the Devils, and it was the first time a Flyers goalie had thrown a shutout in like 2 years. And it was like, oh my God, this guy is legit. And the funny thing about 2011, like you look at his numbers, 909 save percentage, 2.48 goals against. Like his first year, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
In Philly. And it just like the fallout was so dramatic, not only for him, but on the other side, as you guys bring up, multiple Vezinas, multiple cups for a guy who is going on to be, as Bill, you brought up, like going to walk into the Hall of Fame. The fallout's significant.
It's tremendous. Like it falls. He has a good start. Yeah, that Devils game, it's his second game as a Flyer.
Right, I knew it was early in the year.
And he gives up 1 goal in his first 2 games. Like, oh, I did like Bob, but this seems to be working. And then all of the nonsense of the middle part of the season and like going into that outdoor game, he gets benched. Bob starts that game. We have all the commentary on HBO, which is hilarious. But then he comes back strong. He has like a really long shutout streak. It looks like, okay, things are going right. And then the playoffs are a freaking disaster. That first round series against the Penguins is basically slap shot in real life, and they somehow win it. Then they get killed by the Devils. The following year, he just stinks, and then they've bought him out. It's over, and they have already traded Bob, and they've been searching for a goalie ever since.
Oh, man. All right, that's tough one. Tough one right there.
That is a tough one, yeah.
That is a tough one. Another
Oh,
one.
and Richards and Carter go on to win 2 cups
There
in
you
LA.
go. That one, too. Let's get to number 4. What if Jamie Carson Wentz never tears his ACL against the Rams?
This is a fascinating one because it's a good story. It resulted in a Eagles Super Bowl. I don't think anybody would trade those results for anything. But what if Carson Wentz doesn't tear his knee in LA?
Yeah.
I remember I was in New Orleans that weekend with my wife, and we got home, and I had gone radio silent, shut off my phone because I was missing the game while flying. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to settle into the couch. And I turned on my phone, and somehow it got spoiled for me. I ended up fast forwarding and seeing the results and the torn ACL. And my wife yelled down to me, "What's wrong?" And the Eagles were a juggernaut that year, and Carson Wentz was probably the MVP of the NFL. And I still think he got robbed to this day. And she said, "What's wrong?" And I said,
he just needed those last couple of games.
He did.
To secure it.
Yeah. And I said, the Eagles' season is over. I said, Carson Wentz tore his ACL. The season's down the drain. I have no hope. Life is meaningless. And she said, "Okay, get a grip."
Tell us how you really feel.
I was like, I don't want to get a grip.
This
This is how I feel. And if he's healthy, I don't know if you can say that the Eagles win the Super Bowl because Nick Foles was perfect that day. From the 4th down pickups to the 3rd downs to the Phillies special to everything. I'd like to believe that the Eagles still win the Super Bowl if Wentz is playing, but I don't know if they do. I don't know if it took Nick Foles being perfect on one day for the Eagles to get over the hump and to beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
I don't know, just because
I
Carson
believe
Wentz
doesn't win it.
Carson Wentz does it in a different way.
Maybe.
He uses his legs. He does those types of things because if we all remember that first game in the playoffs against the Falcons, they needed a lot of luck in that one. Keanu Neal off the knee, all that stuff.
Thank you, Torrey
right?
Smith, for being
And on
right
top of
place
it,
at
too,
the right
Nick
time.
Foles was awful in the first regular season game or two that he played.
Yes, he was.
After
that.
filling in for the Giants. You guys remember the Raiders on Christmas Day? That was a terrible football
was awful.
game.
So I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
if
lost my
points.
fantasy championship because of that. Had Ertz and Alshon. They put up a combined 4 points, I think.
So I don't know if you need a perfect game because, to your point, he was the MVP that year. So if we're talking about how good of a season he had, how great Nick Foles was for that perfect game, he had a near perfect season until that injury. So he would have done it differently in that run.
I'd like to believe.
And that's how I'm looking at it.
I honestly, like, no BS, I don't think they beat the
And that's
Patriots.
fair. That's
if
fair.
Nick Foles isn't just like right situation, right time, right place in history.
I think Doug was on such a roll, play calling, it didn't
might be
matter.
right.
I think he
Is
had
there a
just,
Philly special?
He had just got so hot, and maybe
You didn't
not,
need it,
Maybe
you know?
like there are moments that are different.
Yeah.
It's like that
Crazy.
Falcons game might be different.
Sure.
It might be a blowout.
Maybe it's like this past Super Bowl where we're celebrating at halftime.
Maybe.
Yeah. But I was in LA for that game, and I was at LAX the next day, and it was nothing but Eagles fans at the bar, and it was an Irish wake because I was convinced. I remember the game. It was Thursday night in Carolina. Remember, it was impossible to win on Thursdays on the road. Penalties were 10-1.
Nigel Bradham was great in that game.
Penalties were 10-1. Like the Eagles should have got killed in this
I think
game.
Kuechly got a concussion.
Yeah, and they come out and win. And I tweeted that night, "We're winning the Super Bowl this year." And I was convinced from that point on that they were winning. And then when Wentz gets hurt, I'm like, well, that's that. And they go on this magical run. I still think they do it, but it is
I agree.
not the awesome story that it ended up being. Like, that's a movie.
Yeah.
That happens nowhere but in a Disney film.
Yes.
And Like, like in Cool Runnings, they don't win. And that somehow happened
Sanko,
for
you
us.
all right, man?
Like that somehow happened for us. I still think they win it, but it is a much, much different story.
The script gets rejected by Disney.
Yeah.
Too preposterous.
Oh, you mean this guy comes in who
Too
you got rid of
against Tom
for
Brady?
Sam
And he's got
Bradford?
this awesome nickname.
Preposterous. Well, and the funny thing is, like, as you brought up, Bill, they were on a roll. And now they weren't playing like world-beating teams, but they dropped 34 on Arizona, 34 on Washington, 33 on the Niners, 51 on the Broncos, 37 on the Cowboys.
Came in like,
Like, this team was on an absolute tear, and really the only game from that
good.
Kansas City loss until Carson Wentz got hurt was the Seattle game, the night game against Seattle, and Seattle's defense was really good. Wentz had that, like, you guys remember, he was like falling down, he tried to like sling it, and they lost that game, but like they were obliterating teams that season.
And Rush should have been the MVP if it wasn't Wentz that year. He also got robbed.
Yeah, so tough stuff, man.
it ended in a
Then
Super Bowl, but what if?
Joe Sanluquito, his story comes out later about how bad he was as a person in the locker room, or a teammate, and all that stuff. So a lot of
locker
ripple
room gets
effects
divided.
there.
So much goes wrong with his bot. To me, it's about what happens after.
Sure. Yeah,
because he comes back early because he's jealous of Nick.
Yes.
Yep.
And he hurts his back, and he can't tell me that's not from compensating.
Sure.
And then he can't play like Steve McNair anymore, and he's basically done.
Chris
like,
Long
that's
has
it.
a shrine in the locker room
Yeah.
to Nick
Nick
Foles.
Foles, it
The
was-
BDN grows in legend and lore, and like the
He
locker room
grows.
gets divided.
Crazy stuff, man.
And Darren Sproles confronts Carson Wentz about being a selfish teammate. Like, massive ripple effect.
Do we ever draft Jalen? That's really
May not.
Yeah.
You might, but you
'cause
might
you
have already
needed a
had a
cheap
Super Bowl
quarterback.
in there already, where it doesn't even matter later
Yeah.
on. You're just drafting
Yeah.
a backup at that point.
And he could have been flipped.
And he could have been flipped
Yeah.
to something totally different.
And then
Oh,
do we
man.
have two?
And folks, that's number 3 on our list. So imagine what the top 3 looks like. Let's get into it and keep it going as we go, Tyler, to what if they gave Roy Halladay just a little run support in that one game,
2 runs, man.
1-0 game against the Brewers, and that one, and we'll
Yeah,
see what that looks like against the Cardinals.
I think everybody can tell you exactly how the first inning first inning transpired, right? Rafael Furcal leadoff triple, Skip Schumacher RBI ground out. That's it.
And look, Halladay,
That's it. That's the
Halladay,
game.
The game ends.
Halladay does that.
innings.
He did that a lot, by the way. He
Yeah.
would give up something early in the first or second inning,
and
he'd
then
be
get
like,
pissed,
and,
settle
yeah,
in.
and
Yep.
settle in, and
And
nobody
shut
touching
people
him
out.
after that.
Yeah.
Well, the
And
old
you get
adage,
the run support.
The old adage, like with good starters, is you got to get to them early. If you don't get to them early, they lock in. Verlander has done it. Scherzer's done it. Halladay did it. Wheeler does it now. If you don't get to Wheeler early, you're not getting to Wheeler.
Exactly.
And so I think that, like, there's a whole bunch of different side effects to this. I think one is the outcome, but the other one, I think, is the Phillies don't hit in the 9th inning. And that is the biggest one to me, because if they score 2 runs and they're not hitting in the 9th inning, Ryan Howard does not tear his Achilles trying to get out of the box to end the game.
I was there for that. And you talk about Carson Wentz, just a moment ago, the air getting sucked out of his stadium. I remember exactly where I was, standing room, third base line, pretty good sight line right at Ryan Howard. And not only did you realize the game and the series was over, but you realized the big piece was probably done for a year. And like, talk about the air and sadness just setting in a stadium. Absolutely one of the worst experiences I've ever had in a ballpark.
Tough.
Yeah, and I think so. In the Phillies episode on Monday, I talked about there was like 4 or 5 different teams of what ifs. Could they have won the World Series? 93, 64, 77. I firmly believe of every team that the Phillies didn't go to a World Series or didn't win a World Series, only 77 and 2011 were the 2 teams that were destined to win World Series that year. And I believe that they beat the Cardinals. They're going to beat the Brewers. The Cardinals beat the Brewers 4.
Randy Wolf started a game in
Right.
that series. 35-year-old Randy
Right.
Wolf started for the Brewers.
And then you get to Texas, and Texas had a 4.65 ERA against the Cardinals in 7 games in that series. The Phillies starting rotation is not posting a 4.65. There is you cannot convince me otherwise that the 2011 Phillies were not destined to win a World Series, and losing to the Cardinals, especially, by the way, guys, losing to the Cardinals, who needed the Phillies to beat the Braves to get into the postseason. There's a lot of what if to go. I think that the 2011 team is one of the 2 best Phillies teams to ever be assembled, and the other one's 77.
All right. Let's just tell the people, because we talk a lot. that we need to go to overtime a little bit here, just for a few. We talk a lot, and overtime, of course, is you go to allphly.com. Thanks everybody on the television side for hanging out with us. If you want to continue to see what our number 2 and our number 1 are, make sure you go to allphly.com as we head to overtime. That Roy Halladay thing.
Randy Wolf.
I know that hurts, Bill.
He was my guy, too.
I forgot
man.
about that. Yeah.
I loved Wolf, but I don't know. I don't know if him at 35 is intimidating me in the NLCS.
So,
Yeah.
bro, do you guys tend to agree? 11
Yes.
wins the World Series if they get past the Cardinals.
yeah, I mean,
They're winning.
it's the 4 aces.
They have to,
They're
right?
winning.
Everyone, they add Hunter Pence. Like, yes, the lineup was aging at that point, but you have the best starting pitching ever assembled.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't see how they lose, especially as the series goes from 5 to 7 games where we can, Doc and Lee are pitching again. We're going to have Hamels. We're going to have Oswalt in relief in some, like,
Right.
Yeah.
How do they lose?
And the legacies of these players, like Jimmy, Chase, and Ryan and Cole, they're multi-winners. Roy Halladay gets
Yep.
his ring.
I think Chase Utley's a Hall of Famer if he gets a second ring.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, just those.
He might still be,
that
but I
core-
think-
that's the greatest core in Phillies history. If they get a
Oh, yeah.
second. Because, like Schmidt and those guys weren't able to string it together like that. I've always wished and hoped for a baseball dynasty in this town, and that was
That was the
their
best chance. Yeah, and with that best chance, man, when you look at that one, that's where Philly fans feel like they were cheated of.
Yeah.
You didn't get enough.
Because the whole regular
You didn't get
season
enough
didn't
out of
matter
that.
to a
Didn't
lot
matter.
of fans. It
All
was
right,
like,
cool.
see me in the
You get
postseason.
95, you get 100, cool. It's about when we get to the postseason.
No, it's after
no
the
one
way-
can touch us. is
After
how
the
it
way
is.
2010 ends, it's like, you owe us one.
Yeah.
Right.
Now it's, 102 wins. Charlie
great,
gets the franchise record. Don't care. Get me Hunter Pence. Get me back to the series. Like, it's
Yeah.
so disappointing because it was. I can't imagine. I always think of Ruben Amaro. Like, what do we think of him? Like, is he still the GM? You know, like,
it's a great one.
He did everything we wanted him to do.
pushed-
The
he
team
went
just didn't
nuts.
score a run.
He was a GM like I wanted to be GM.
Yeah.
Like, go all in.
Get
Push all
every
the
player.
chips in. Yeah.
Every guy available. Go get him.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Even the Yankees one, man. It was like
Ugh.
two guys were just nuts, and Pedro had the one game in game 2. He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I still think he should
Stinking
have.
A-Rod.
I was with Charlie. Keep him in there for that one more, and it backfired.
It's unfortunate he ran into Hideki Matsui.
I know it was just but still, but with that, it was just two guys that went off, and Utley and Lee. You didn't get anything from Hamels, and they were still that good. And then you like, let's go retool for next year, and they do it. Man, we were cheated out of that run.
Yeah.
Dynasty, your point. You're absolutely right. All right, let's get to number 2 on our list. Woo. Jay, what if Howie Roseman didn't return after the 2015 season? And as Bill said, he still might be in that closet, right?
Yeah, the Chip Kelly, Howie
broom closet.
Roseman era was a fascinating one.
Fascinating.
Because I don't know many people with the pride, the ego, whatever you want to call it, to stick out and endure what Howie Roseman did. He got ushered to the other side of the building, kicked out of his role, basically put in the broom closet, as Bill said, for this hot young college coach. And he decides to stick it out. And then after the 2015 season, Chip is entering what's going to be his final year. And we're like, man, Howie's probably gone. Most people in their professional lives, when they get treated like that, probably go, I'm out. Other teams want me. They'll pay me. I'm not at a fear of a job loss here. And he sticks it out. And he eventually rises to president of football operations and the GM and all of it. He reclaims his throne. And now he's the best GM in sports. And he's won 2 Super Bowls in this time frame.
Hall of Famer.
He's completely reconstructed what him and his front office do, how they execute. Justin Jefferson, as we talked about earlier, was kind of that final piece of the Phoenix rising from the ashes and changing things. He self-reflected. He changed. He gets Jalen Hurts in the second round when he was ostracized in town. That ends up leading you to another Super Bowl. It's a fascinating thought of what if Howie Roseman didn't return. I don't think we can sit here and say the Eagles have 2 Super Bowl parades.
As much as I
know we
appreciate Jeffrey Lurie's ownership, I don't think anyone would confuse him with genius football man. Now, maybe he just knows what it takes to run an organization so much he goes out and hires some
right
other
hire.
guy.
But that's a hard thing to do.
Who?
Yeah.
Because we're looking at Howie.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm like, who were the candidates at that time?
Every
that were
time they've lost a guy,
available?
we're like, oh, well, he's really.
Do
It's
they
like,
go
oh,
get
yeah,
Mike
how's the Jets
Tannenbaum,
doing?
who's friends
You
with
know?
Jeffrey
Like,
Lurie, who was the name.
And
I
then
believe.
weren't they trying to go after Wolf in Green Bay at that?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
were taking a swing.
Sure.
But they got denied. And what would that have looked like? We have no idea what that would have looked like.
It's every time Howie's lost a guy in the staff, it's actually he runs the draft. It's like, yeah, how the Jets doing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, how's that going over there? Meanwhile, Howie's got a second
Andrew
Super
Berry
Bowl
with the
with a
Browns.
different quarterback and
Right.
coach.
Yeah,
it's
Andrew
not
Berry
as if
Browns,
yeah,
You
exactly.
bring up Joe Douglas and the Jets.
It's so interesting.
It's not that easy.
How did
No.
you feel though, Ty, when they did bring in Chip Kelly? Forget about the move first to bring
Yeah,
him and let him
so-
take over, but the Chip Kelly.
I think the Chip Kelly thing was super intriguing because it was such a departure from anything that really any NFL team had done, where it was like, all right, well, we're going to give this guy kind of, I don't want to say like omnipotence, but like he could do no wrong. And then he kind of weaseled his way into more and more and more power. But it was a creative difference. It was this college system works. It worked at Oregon. It was let's be fast, let's be quick, let's get on the ball, let's move, and let's punish defenses with our speed and our ability to be on the field for 4 minutes at a time instead of an 8-minute drive. And then that well kind of dried up. And then you also went and made poor decisions by like signing DeMarco Murray, who didn't make sense in an East-West offense. He was a North-South runner. It was a bunch of different stuff. And then Chip Kelly went power crazy, and I think everything fell out from there.
By the way, Ryan Matthews is a better running back anyway.
So
Just saying.
So
You already had him. He was pretty good.
So at the time, like, I was intrigued by the hiring of Chip Kelly, but it was also a thought of like, okay, with Chip Kelly, are they going to end up? You guys remember the radio spiel of do the deal, right? Are they going to trade for the trade up to get Marcus Mariota? Are they going to bring like Dennis Dixon in to be their quarterback? Like, who is the guy that could run this Oregon type of offense? But like Bill, you brought up different GMs in the last 10 years since 2015 when Howie Roseman, this all went down. 25 different teams have hired 42 GMs. I mean, you're getting close to a team. Wow. For teams that have hired GMs.
That is
the success rate is
and
not
he's
good.
Won Executive of the Year at least twice.
It's
2 Super
unbelievable.
Bowls.
Like the NFL is this constant turnover machine, and the Eagles have somehow realized like stability, man. There's going to be bad years because other teams just have lucky years sometimes too. Like it's out of your hands. Yeah, man. 2 quarterbacks got hurt, and the coach got in a play calling rut, and we had a bad draft, so it's a bad year. But if you just have a little bit of stability, it won't be a disaster.
Yeah, and credit to Howie for changing and self-reflecting and realizing he couldn't do things the same way again. It's like, Jordan had to lose to the Pistons before he could become a 6-time champion. Maybe Howie had to be sent to the broom closet to self-reflect and become a 2-time.
Admitting you're wrong is hard.
The personal maturity where he was, remember we heard, he's visiting in like Manchester United.
Yeah.
Where he,
Everybody.
like, what is that going to teach him about
doing?
football?
Yeah.
It's like, it's about how you run an organization.
Everybody.
And it's like,
Yeah.
that's what's good about the Eagles. They're well run.
So thank you, Howie.
And guess what?
Thanks, Chip.
Now they're
Thank you, Chip.
now they're legitimately the gold standard from the front office
They are.
perspective.
It's crazy how
They
that
are.
has gone from a running joke to the actual truth.
Now,
Yeah.
years later,
Took 20 years,
now.
but yeah.
yeah.
When we were doing the imaging for the post Super Bowl like time period, our graphics designer was like, "You have any thoughts?" And I was like, "Yeah." Ironically, gold standard.
He was right.
And
Because he was mocked forever, and now they are.
And that was the
gold
collection
standard.
when they won the Super Bowl for the gear and all
Yeah.
the gold standard. By the way, speaking of gear, everybody,
New drop.
We have some new gear. Before we get to number 1, let's talk about the new gear. And Tyler has it on right now. Part of our, just great layout that we now have with all the very cool look that we have here with all the cool clothing that the apparel that we have put together.
Mascot love child.
What
you got
now?
Oh yeah, there's like a gritty fanatic.
This is like an amalgamation of all of our mascots.
It is up on the store.
Yes.
And there's some great stuff in here.
Yeah.
The Sixers PHLY shirt. The
Soft
Spectrum
pretzels.
ones are awesome.
Spectrum ones are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
This mascot one I love, but it is odd. Like,
Somebody get, like,
kind of frightening.
Somebody get like sleep terrors and they woke up and they're like, t-shirt.
There's some great stuff here.
Some good stuff. So make sure you now, go check out our website, check out the merch, look at our new collection that we have going on here. It's the Philly collection up right now and available to you. We all have our pieces. I have a black one in this one. We got the Sixers, the PHLY in the 2001 logo font that has finally dropped in black and other colors as
the
well.
AI 16-bit
The step over.
Yeah.
So everything is available for our Philly collection right now at store.allcitynetwork.com, or you can just simply go to our website at allphly.com and go to the merch section, check out the drop, and you'll see everything that is available for you right now via the Philly collection. Let's get to number one, Jamie.
I will toss to you the number one, because much like I don't think I can be convinced the Eagles win the Super Bowl without Nick Foles that day, I am sure in my heart of hearts that if this thing does not bounce 4 times and fall into a north of the border Canadian basket in Toronto, I truly believe the process and Sam Hinkie and all of that is a success, and the Sixers go on to win the title if Kawhi Leonard's shot does not drop.
I still do not watch it to this day.
I have not
You
watched
know you have
it a
no
second
rooting
time.
interest because you're covering the team and all that stuff. That one, though, had an impact. That one was a gut punch. I remember where I was. I think we all remember where we were. Those are one of those moments, you know exactly where you were. I was in the studio because I did pregame, so I always stayed in the studio and watched
I was in
it.
Pensport, and I dropped to my knees with my hands on my head and couldn't believe
I
it.
got up out of my chair and I said nothing. It was just one of those silent reactions to the shot. I can replay it, though, even though I don't watch it. What if in this play, the officials called Kawhi Leonard for a travel on the catch? He took like 4 steps before he dribbled. You're not going to call it because of the moment, so you're going to let it play out. Jimmy Butler gets the steal before to tie the game to force that moment there. What if they called the travel? What if Joel Embiid doesn't leave Marc Gasol on that screen that Gasol tries to set on Ben Simmons, and he doesn't cut off Ben Simmons' path? What if, because of that, Ben Simmons is just with him one-on-one? It was still a great contest because Joel Embiid kept up with him, did not foul, and both he and Ben Simmons, so you're talking about 6'10 and 7'2", extended over Kawhi Leonard to force that shot. And he gets a great bounce of that. Then we never get the squatting of Kawhi Leonard, the photo of all of that. What if we don't get the meme of Joel crying post-game? Maybe Jimmy Butler and J.J. Redick stay in the next this offseason in a couple of weeks. They don't leave. And you don't give Tobias Harris 5 years and $180 million. There are a lot of things that go into this. That what if he never finishes that shot? Look, they may have beaten the Sixers in overtime.
They may have.
But that shot is not the visual that we have now have to live with, Bill, forever.
An all-time moment.
It's an all-time
heartbreaking.
moment. It's an all-time
It's Joe Carter-esque.
NBA basketball
I
moment.
think it's the only buzzer beater in Game 7 history, at least it was at the time. That said, I just look at this group that has been assembled as a group of losers, and they lose in overtime probably badly.
Yeah.
Like, they were never going to win, and they showed us that throughout the years. They showed us that in Game 4 when Joel had a tummy ache, so he put up 11 points at home. Like, I don't know, go up 3-1 in the series, and we never get to Game 7. But we are talking about the games. I can't think of any other possible outcome than they lose in overtime, because that's what this team is, a disappointment.
Yeah, and Joel Embiid, when you talk about legacy and championships, he's unfortunately, unless he bounces back to some physicality where he's a world-class player again, he's going to be remembered probably 20 years from now as one of the greatest to ever put on a Sixers uniform that couldn't get it done in the postseason. And he had a double-double that night. He was plus 10 on the floor. If that shot doesn't get in, Devon, you say, what happens if Ben Simmons... Joel Embiid is credited for getting his 7'3" arm in the face of Kawhi as he misses. and maybe he wins an NBA championship. And not only is the process cemented as a success, Joel Embiid's legacy as a Philadelphia 76er is cemented in history.
Can we? Can I be honest here? Can I speak?
This is the trust tree.
Can I be honest with you guys? The further removed we get away from this shot, the less it bothers me. And the reason the less it bothers me is because of twofold. One, it was absurd. Of a million bounces, it probably goes in one time. The second is because what you brought up.
That's why it hurts so much.
The second is what you brought up, Bill. They had their chance. They should have won Game 4. There is no reason as to why that game should have even been played. There should not have been a Game 7. The Sixers should have won that series in 6 games.
Live by the doink, die by the doink. You know, so sometimes,
Right, so
sometimes Cody Parkey bangs one off 3 posts. Sometimes the Vince Carter shot actually goes in because it was Kawhi taking it.
Those were
time.
two surefire ones where they at least should have gotten to the 3 actually. There were 2 that they should have gotten to the conference finals. That was one. And maybe they don't go to the NBA finals, but that's their first appearance in the conference finals where now your mentality changes a bit.
Totally.
They're not roadblocked in the second round.
100%. And then the Hawks won, of course, in Game 7, where they are the number 1 seed.
Ben Simmons
and
like this.
We know what happens after that.
Just
so
go
those
up.
are 2 right there that you talk about looking at that Phillies dynasty potentially.
Yeah.
This is just all about get over the hump. If you get over the hump in that one and you're number 1
So
in
much could've
2021, there's so many things that could be different of the what if that we talk about here.
I still have that Sports Illustrated cover with the best starting 5 in
best.
basketball.
It's the best.
I love keeping stuff like that.
That was
me
a genius idea for that photo. It was perfect. And again, as much as all the stuff for 12, we call him 12 on the Sixers show, as you guys know when we talk about Tobias Harris, we call him 12. Maybe he's not here, and there's somebody else in that role of that, for that. And we talked about Kale a little bit earlier. Maybe Kale's on that team, and maybe he's the one that has that assignment, or something happens with the switch, and it's he and Simmons instead of he and Embiid, and whatever it could be. There's a lot. There's a lot. And that's the number 1 as we wrap up rank week. When we put the list together, as I did the Sixers list, I didn't know number 1 was going to be Kawhi Leonard for the entire rank week of number 10 for what ifs. And damn, is that one that is a what if that does not happen.
Yeah, and please, in the comments, leave your agreements, disagreements. We'd love to hear from everybody out there about our list. Rip it, praise it, do whatever you want with it.
Tell us what we missed.
Yeah, but tell them what your what ifs are, or tell us what your what ifs are. And if you agree with our list, we'd love to hear from you.
Guys, this has been a blast.
A lot of fun. And it wasn't all painful.
It wasn't all
We
painful.
got to talk about some Super Bowl parades. We got to talk about some Phillies World Series. There was some good stuff in there.
A lot of good stuff, but a lot of in there.
A lot of almost.
A lot of almost.
Thoroughly depressing, but this one wasn't as bad as like the individual, because at least we get to mix it up.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I like doing these roundtables.
Thanks,
They're
guys.
pretty
There was
fun.
nothing I wanted to do more on a Tuesday morning than reflect on our misery as a collective
What are
unit.
you talking about, man? This is
At least
Friday.
we had the Eagles topics. Like at least all the Eagles ones lead to a road.
2015
of
Howie
everything's
was a
great.
positive, Tyler.
Yeah.
Good times.
That's fair.
Good times. But hey, it gives us things to talk about in the offseason that is obviously fun. So across the All-City Network overall, the what ifs, and of course here on the PHLY Network, the what ifs for the Flyers, the Eagles, the Phillies, and the Sixers. Man, a lot over our lives, our sports lives as the fandom that it is, which is why you do what you do as fans, which is why we do as fans to have this job. And of course, to speak of it the way that we do. We thank you all week long here for the What If, the Rank Week. Make sure you go check out the Philly collection, again, at allphly.com. Go to the merch section and check it out. Check our collective shows for the Flyers, the Eagles, the Phillies, and the Sixers on a daily basis here at the All-City Network, here on YouTube. And we once again, thanks, as always, to the great producing by the one and only Julia Hoff. Thank you, Jules, for the producing. Thanks to all of you for watching. Thank you, Bill, Jamie, and Tyler for hanging out and spending this round table here. This has been a blast. We'll all talk to you once again on Monday at our regularly scheduled times for our shows. Have a great weekend. What if all of that stuff just didn't happen? We'll talk to you on Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.